Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ecosystem Aces. I'm Chip Rodgers, Chief Partner Officer at WorkSpan, and excited this morning to be talking with Pat Piwowarczyk. Pat, welcome.
Thank you, Chip. Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. So Pat is head of AV Integrator Channel at Poly and HP, or Poly, which is part of HP. And uh, gosh, Pat, you have a long career with a lot of the big brands in technologies. You know, Cisco, many years at Cisco. D-Link, and then I think 3Com early
Yep.
on for a number of
Right.
years, and so all in technology, networking. You know, bringing people together, and so just I know you bring a lot of that to your current role.
Yep. It's all about collaboration, right? I think when the day's done, one thing that gets us all excited getting up in the morning is how do we help our partners add value to what they're selling with our solutions, and that's it's job one. That's what we look for in the channel at Poly HP.
That's awesome. So Pat, let's start there. Maybe you can share a little bit about what your role is and what you and your team are up to on kind of a day-to-day basis, and then we'll just
Sure.
jump off from there.
Yeah. So we are knee deep. I could say integration is behind us from Poly being acquired by HP. We're obviously still going through lots of smaller operational things, so we're getting through all that. It's been a journey, but our team is heavily focused working with our large integrator partner channel. So that is folks that are really selling collaboration solutions from our set of portfolios. So that's voice, video, and headsets, as well as our managed services solutions that manages that entire ecosystem of products. So that goes with also partnering with our alliance partners, and we have many of them, right? Some to mention off the top of my head is really our alliances partnerships with Microsoft, Zoom, Google, Ring Central. The list goes on and on. So our channel partner managers are working with our partners that we support and all these alliances that are selling those solutions. So we get up every day trying to figure out how to work and go deeper and wider with those relationships in our partner community.
Yeah, so that's a pretty wide. That's a lot of partners.
It is. But I think where we live and die in battle in the field is really working with our channel partners that are reselling our solutions, managing our solutions, and really helping them articulate the value of what we provide to really, create problem-solving areas and get rid of headaches where end customers are challenged with collaboration. So I think that's what we are really focused on day in and day out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think your business is really interesting, and I'm sure has gone through a huge transformation and acceleration, I guess, probably during the over the 2 or 3 years of COVID, with so many people either working remote or hybrid. How has that impacted your business?
Yeah, it's changed a lot of different things. I believe one thing it's done is accelerated our headset business early on in the pandemic. It took a pause with a lot of our video solutions as people were running home, if you will, right? So we did have an uptick in video, but it also kind of paused things because people weren't coming back to the office. So it's one thing that it's taught us is hybrid is here to stay. There's different facets of that, right? So we believe that you'll see things continue to trend a little bit more in returning to the office, but it's a journey that is so different for so many different companies, right? Lots of people started with a mandate, and that didn't work. Then people said, "Well, we'll go easy into it. Let's figure out how to earn the commute, right? So maybe 2 or 3 days back in the office." So we've seen a lot more of that, and that's changed our business, really accelerating how people return back to the office. But one thing it's absolutely done is not taken away. How do we treat hybrid? How do we treat people that will be continuing to work out of home? And it's providing solutions that allow them to be equal on any call, whether it's at home, it's in the office, in the car. How do we make sure that people are heard and seen to participate in what's most critical is these meetings that decide major things for companies.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting business, and critical. I think these days, especially when we live in this world like we are right now.
Yeah, it's to say it's interesting is such a minor statement. I mean, it's kind of craziness, right? Many people like ourselves in working collaboration solutions for years, we've always been remote in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
But so many businesses have never experienced that. People were forced home and didn't know what to do. I'd say middle management didn't know how to manage people unless they touched them, right? So it's been a massive transformation. And now people are relying on this hybrid world and this return to office on what are the tools that we can use to make sure people are working. Are they effective? Are they engaged, right? It's really changed how we do work.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about how partnering about the partnering aspect
Yeah.
of things. That's what you and your team are up to. The you have a set of technology and core technology that I'm sure some of the partners that you mentioned, you have there are potentially you know competitive, sort of competition kinds
Sure.
of places where you're playing with partners that may have some aspect of things that how do you think about working with partners, building solutions, and bringing those to market together?
Yep. I think the best thing we can do as a channel organization for our partners is really educate, right? How does our solutions fit into what's top of mind for customers? We find that there's probably three messages you should be discussing with end customers looking at solutions for collaboration. And those three topics are: what are you doing today for return to office? What is that strategy? How are you going to incorporate that with technology so that people are seen and heard, right? Meeting equality. Two, how are you going to also, in addition to looking at return to office, what are you going to do to support the hybrid users? Because, like I said, hybrid's here to stay in some shape or form. So, how are you going to make sure that the hybrid users working at home, participating in meetings or engaging in work, are also seen and heard and feeling equal in their participation? And the third one is, how do you wrap both those experiences in a way that is equal for whatever you're doing in the office, out of the office, right? Work is taking place. Work is no longer a destination. You're doing it anywhere and everywhere. So how do you make sure that both parties, return to office folks, people that are hybrid, are driving a meeting a quality experience that it doesn't matter where they're at? So what we want to do is make sure we're educating them on the solutions, make sure that we're helping our partners have those conversations. We know those are the top three top of minds for end customers looking at managing their business in this new world. And the reality is we need to help them with that. What are the tools that we can allow them to leverage from us that makes the selling process easier? I think that's most critical for our team and how we work with our partners.
So a lot about around partner enablement, and I suspect a lot of your partners are using your technology for their own business as well, right? You have both
100%.
sort of sell through, sell with, and then sell to kinds of activities going on. So that helps with the enablement, right? They're using it.
Absolutely.
They're customers.
They're our best customer, right? So it's great when they're using our technology, and we have lots of programs that helps our community of partners leverage that and make the investment a little bit easier, right? With demo programs and proof of concept programs as well. So that helps them get going. One thing I think we've added, being a part of HP, the larger HP,
Mm.
is now we have a larger portfolio that our partners can take advantage of with PC and compute, keyboards, mice, monitors. There's a larger portfolio that allows us to attack the hybrid user, also the return to office user, in a very different way, very uniquely situated from our competition. So that's something that I think our channel my team are really focused on is that collaboration solution, but now bringing in our other parts of the HP family of solutions that really is a plethora of opportunity for our partners.
Yeah. So as you're thinking about, working with partners and putting solutions together, are they, where do those concepts come from? Is it something that's driven by customers? Are you focused on specific use cases or industries that, and that is something that, sort of generates the idea? Do you have partners that are specialists within certain industries that help kind of
It's kind of all of it.
bubble
Yeah,
those?
yeah, it's kind of all of it, Chip. I think the reality is we've got partners that are very focused. The definite AV integrator is focused on rooms and how do they outfit the best experience for rooms. We definitely have partners that are focused on the experience side of things. What does the experience productivity look like using these solutions, whether it's in the office or at home? So we've got a couple different go-to-markets that allow our partners to leverage us in many different ways. We definitely got people that are very vertically focused, whether that's in the SLED space or the federal space. Our solutions are obviously used across that as well. So there is some unique use cases that fit in a lot of these verticals, but when the day is done, it's all about collaboration. Can you be heard and seen? How do we drive productivity with our solutions? I think it's most critical is when we're doing things like you and I are doing right now is can we be seen? Can we be heard? Can we also remove and reduce unwanted noise or images, right? We have lots of solutions that will create perimeters and barriers so that we take out noise that we don't want in our conversation, or images, maybe a conference room that has another conference room next to it, but it's bleeding in other images and grabbing those a part of your meeting that shouldn't be a part of it. So those things are most critical, and we look at that across our entire ecosystem of partners. They leverage these use cases to go have meaningful discussions with customers.
Yeah. And so, when you've created these solutions for the market, they may be partner specific to certain industries. How are you going to market together with partners, and getting the message out?
Yep. So we're 100%, partner focused. Our team for sure, right? The HP ecosystem, small business direct, very small, but really everyone can count on working with us. All our partners can count on working with their customers. So our team is focused and enabling the partner. We also have teams of folks that are focused on the end user. So people that are working on the Fortune 500 that directly are working with them, but once again, back through a partner channel. So we are 100% channel in that motion. And then we have other folks that are focused in certain verticals. Once again, the end customer working on the federal side or state and local that are calling on those customers, but once again, through a channel partner. So that's where we excel, is enabling that motion with our end user sellers.
Yeah. And are you doing, co-marketing kinds of?
We do a lot of co-selling. So that's where we like to sit down with our partners and understand their strategy, how they're approaching the market, and finding those unique areas where we can co-sell. And sometimes we even get very granular in some of those solutions with how we co-sell with some of our alliance partners, a Microsoft, a Zoom, a Google, a Ring Central, right? There's many other ancillary partners that work with us and embed our solutions in what we do go to market wise. So we will do some co-selling, kind of some unique partnering there with some of the people that I mentioned, and go to market with them with our partners. So it's that we leverage that ecosystem of alliance partnerships.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the challenges with co-selling, working with partners, getting aligned, we talk about, partner enablement, having everybody understand the technology and where are the lines drawn and those kinds of things. How do you get the field teams lined up?
Well, the training aspect is time and focus, right? So we'll have to educate anyone and everyone that will need that. It begins with trust. In the channel, it starts with trust, it ends with trust. So when it's hard, it's because we probably didn't start the trust discussion and relationship in the right way. So if a partner doesn't feel like they're trusted and we're working together, then they may not share everything that they need to share. They may hold back some things, and that'll come out when we start partnering. When one part of the relationship gives more than the other, then that's where it gets hard or challenging. So I always believe you put it on the table. My mantra for over 25, 27 years has always been, if you say it, you do it. Hold yourself accountable to what is in your purview to deliver. To me, that's what's most meaningful, and that begins with trust. So it gets hard when we can't trust each other. It gets hard when we commit to things that some of us can't deliver. That becomes a challenge. So I think you always want to put the challenges on the table first and figure out how do we best work together to provide a winning outcome.
Yeah. When you see those things happening, or you kind of get a sense that something like that's how do you, because maybe it's a team member, right? That's not, and how do you?
Yeah, I will tend to lead with, calling it out early. And the key is you don't want to just pick up the glass vase and throw it on the ground and break it, right? I think it's all about message delivery, right? So, but you need to call out these challenges. It's easier to call them out early in a professional way, and talk through it and bring it on the table and call it what it is, right? This is an area of challenge or opportunity. This is an area that is of concern. I think you got to work through that with your partners. The good news is, I've seen this over the years, right? Sometimes in an early relationship, the trust isn't set right off at the beginning. So things are fractured. It just getting started potentially. So calling those out early, you'll see that as things evolve and people trust each other, that becomes remember back when we didn't trust each other, but where we're at today.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of learnings in that, but I think calling it out early helps put things, the challenges up front early and working through that.
Yeah. With system integrators, you're in a kind of a unique area. It's not sort of a generic system integrator. They have specialties within within the AV space. How are you working with those AV partners and there may be a sort of a like a GSI or more general system integrators putting together an overall solution, and then Poly as a part of that solution, plus there may be some AV. How does that all work when you have 2 or 3 partners working together to bring a whole solution to market?
Well, we want to work with our entire channel. I mean, clearly we want to value those that bring us in early and often, and work with them with the heavy lifting they've done. In our space, to your point, we're not always the single solution. There are other ancillary things that go into building a room, as an example, right? Overhead speakers and mics, and sometimes they're not using our solutions. In the larger rooms, they might be using one of our alliance partners. So the key is, once again, understanding what are those elements and how do we bring that together. But I think communication, I think a lot of our programs helps enable that margin stack for partners. And because we have a disparate, different type of partners, we've got AV partners, we've got system integrators that maybe focusing on AV, but are also focused heavily on our headset business or our hybrid solution, right? So everyone has a unique approach to this. What I encourage our collective channel, everyone, is you need to tell that whole story. If you're focused and your mainstay has been enabling rooms, that's great. But once again, back to the start of the conversation, right? People are looking at hybrid and return to office. They're not focusing on it, right? They have to look at both of those communities within their organization. So I would encourage our AV centric partners, have the hybrid discussion. There's someone in that organization that is focused on what's happening in hybrid and how they're taking care of that community of employees. And then we've got folks that are heavily focused on headset and that hybrid at home use. The question should always be, well, what are you doing about return to office? So we've got both those community of partners that are focused in what is their mainstay of selling. What I think is best is making sure that they're talking about both sides of that conversation. Someone cares about it at that organization, and you need to find out who. And it's not the same stakeholder. So that's the discovery that we want to educate and help them, share with them where they should have those conversations. It's not always the IT director. It could be HR. It could be procurement. So there's a lot of other people that are now in this decision-making process that is very different from before.
Yeah. And so I suspect then you have, I mean, part of the reason for partnering is, expertise, but also relationships, right? You may have partners that have relationships in some of those line of business areas where you and your team may not have had those relationships.
Correct. It goes both ways. Our end user sellers might be heavily focused in the IT organization, or our partner in the same way, right? They might be focused in one area of where the end user has been buying. But once again, there's that other part, hybrid or it's return office. Both those things live in a large enterprise or even a mid-sized enterprise, and they're not the same person. It's usually different stakeholders.
Yeah.
So it's that education or who has a relationship. Everyone does large account selling. It's always trying to figure out who are the right stakeholders across the account.
Yeah. Well, Pat, this has been, terrific. I really appreciate you sharing some of your your thoughts from, experience with Poly and prior. And maybe, in closing, if you have any advice that you would give to other partner professionals, and you've shared some already, but but anything that you've either learned early on or picked up along the way that would be helpful for our audience and listeners.
Yeah, look, the channel is based on partnership, and like I said, it begins with trust. I can't say it anymore, right? I mean, it begins from there, and that's how you build your relationship and you build success and momentum. Is really working with partners that want to work with you on a collective end goal, which should be a win for their customer. How do they solve a problem that their customer was dealing with? And I think our solutions lens that across our entire portfolio. So begin with the relationship, begin with trust. And then I would tell anyone that's in our space, right, have those 3 conversations. What's happening with return to office? What are you doing to handle your hybrid environment? And then what are you doing to wrap the best-in-class experience for both those employee groups? And how do you make that best-in-class?
Yeah. Well, fantastic, Pat. Thank you for taking the time and joining us today, and really appreciate you sharing your experience. And I noticed as we're talking that there was a point where the camera is sort of adjusting to. So I know you're using Poly, the best technology to broadcast yourself as well here.
Yep, I am. And if I start using my hand motions, and obviously the camera's looking at where I'm best situated. So I'm probably distracting the camera by doing. I should put my hands on it. But yes, we are using the Poly HP technology today, and best in class.
Awesome. Well, Pat, thank you again. I appreciate it. And thank you all again for joining another episode of Ecosystem Aces. I'm Chip Rodgers. Thanks for joining, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.